Ever since the beginning of winter, we were just sitting around reading and drinking hot chocolate. Jared, I'm talking to you. I want to go out.
Where do you want to go?
Literacy, hip-hop. My kids may not like literacy and the concept of writing.
I was about 5 and I tried to hang myself.
So let's hit this city up. It's getting depressing staying inside every day.
Jared, weren't you supposed to clean some of this clutter up?
I was supposed to.
Do you have old books or clothes you've been meaning to get rid of but just haven't had the time? You can give them to a charity or get money for it. But how about exchanging them for goods that you may want or need? Debbie found out about the NDG bartering project.
This isn't just a place to get stuff, okay? It's a place to learn stuff. It's a place to make friends.
Bargaining in Peru, lowering prices in Egypt, exchanging in Beijing, and benefiting in Canada. These are just a few words that come to mind when mentioning bartering. Wendy Lloyd-Smith has been in charge of the NDG network since 2004, and to her, bartering is more community-driven.
Money is something that carries around nourishment, just like blood to a body. And if you have communities where money is not going, you have an unhealthy community, and that affects the whole country, the whole nation.
From translation to editing and writing and computer services, these are just a few of the trades offered at the NDG network. It's about building trust between neighbors, says Lloyd-Smith. It's also about sharing knowledge and helping some who may feel isolated.
You don't feel like you're all alone in the world, and at least you can call someone.
Gisèle La Charité has been a member of the network for almost 2 years now, and she says it brings her support and security no matter what happens.
I have an illness that's quite bad, and the treatment was rough, and I needed someone to call me every day for a while, for 3 months. So I got that from them, which is like a support, you know, and this is a good thing.
The barter network currently has about 100 members, but the demand is still greater than the network can handle. Still, Lloyd-Smith says she is proud of the voluntary aspect.
It's not volunteering in the traditional sense. It's freelance volunteering, and then again, you get something back, so it's reciprocal. And the potential for this is just amazing.
For Concordia Reports, I'm Debbie Bourne.
40 years of teaching art to the community is coming to an end in March. The Sadie Bronfman School of Fine Arts is closing its doors, but not without a fight from its teachers and students. Melanie has more on the story.
The paintings, the pottery, the printmaking, the summer arts camp, the art galleries, all will be gone by March 31st. The decision in December to shut down the Sadie Bronfman School of Fine Arts has teachers and students up in arms. Teacher Stuart Fletcher started a petition and has grown to several thousand names. He says the news of the closure came as a surprise to many.
The vast majority of people are in disbelief. You don't close a cultural center. You don't close a school after 40 years.
YMCA Director Michael Kremlinson says the program is no longer viable.
The enrollment, the diminishment of enrollment from 2000 through 2006, for which I have the last numbers, was by a factor of several hundred.
Fletcher disagrees.
As of today, we have 1,800 registrants. So that means there's roughly, and depending how you crunch the numbers, there's roughly 1,800 registrants that have lost their school.
A study had actually been commissioned by the YMCA to expand the center into a multidisciplinary center for fine and performing arts, not to close it, says Fletcher.
But we were so excited. It was going to be an amazing school where we could bring in other artists, not only visual arts, but music, theater. Everybody was going to be coming here.
Kremlinson says the project is too expensive. The studios will be instead transformed into a performing arts complex because of the large donation from philanthropist Alvin Siegel. His focus is on theater, not fine arts. Rosalind Schwartzman has taught at the school for 40 years. She says the decision is inconceivable.
I don't know what they're going to do. I don't even think they know what they're going to do. And we beg them, do not touch the annex.
But Krumlinson says the decision will not be reversed.
The situation won't be, the decision will not be reversed.
Schwartzman has some hope the petition will sway the YMCA to reconsider. For Concordia Reports, I'm Melanie Holoboski.
A new program is changing the way children learn their ABCs. It's using hip-hop as a tool for literacy and to develop the children's ability to read, write, and rap their own poetry. Alex has more on this story.
History of psychology. I have an exam coming up on March 5th, and I have to get my act together.
Everyone experiences feelings of depression and despair sometimes, but what if they grew to overwhelm you? Artist Kenneth Hemmerich's depression brought him right to the brink of death, before he learned to overcome it. Ernest heard his story.
When did you first start having ideas of suicide? When you were young? Like, how did it start? When do you remember thinking that way?
Well, I was quite young. I was about 5, and I tried to hang myself on a tie rack. Of course, that's a kid's thinking, but unfortunately, the tie rack fell down. And when asked about it, I said, "Oh well, I was just doing this," but I was too embarrassed to tell anybody about it. And throughout my teenage years and early 20s and late 20s, like, depression was a significant function in my life. And over the years, I've learned how to deal with it. I've learned that there's healthy depression, because when one looks in the world, there's a lot to be depressed about. And then there's an unhealthy depression, which is a brooding about things that really cannot be changed. And so that's basically how I started to, it sort of evolved in my own consciousness about what depression is about. And it sort of culminated with, a change in my life situation. My marriage was ending. I was discovering my sexual orientation. And so it was a huge change, and meant losing my kids, losing my family. So it was quite a difficult time in my life when I did take that one particular suicide attempt in which I almost died.
What's the first thing you remember coming out of that? Because a friend found you after a couple of days. What's the first thing that you remember? How were you thinking coming out of that? And what's the first thing that you remember coming out of that experience?
The first thing was, well, I guess that's it. I can't even do this right. And then I thought, well, I've got to really try to figure out how to do this and not do this again, and to save myself from injuring myself. And all my life I've been creative in one way or another. Give me a piece of wood and I'll do something with it. Give me a piece of paper and I'll do something with it. So fortunately, that's my innate nature, is creative. And so I was able to use my listening skills through my music training, my visual skills through my art training and experience, to address and to use them creatively to help heal myself.
We'll hear more of Kenneth Hemmerich's story later in the program.
This spring break, if you're going from this to this, remember 2 essential things: your passport, and be careful what you pack on your carry-on. Since January 23rd, all travelers flying to the U.S., even just for a stopover, must carry their passports. By 2009, a passport will be needed even when traveling by car. More and more Canadians are asking for passports, meaning receiving it on time might be a problem.
You have about 21,000 demands every day now at the passport offices.
Take note that passports can take between 20 and 40 business days to deliver. And what about those carry-ons? New regulations require that all liquids, gels, and aerosols have to contain less than 100 milliliters or 100 grams to be allowed on board. Those items have to be placed in a clear plastic bag. Don't forget the usual suspects, such as nail cutters and scissors, or else you might be stuck with this.
Do you remember back in the day when the internet was dial-up and cell phones couldn't fit in your pocket? Technology has come a long way. Hold on a sec. Hello? Yeah, I'm doing a TV report. Could I call you right back? All right, bye. Sorry about that. Technology has come a long way, and the advances have improved our lives. But Isaac takes a look at how technology may be getting the better of us after all.
Good old technology. I can't imagine life without it. It provides people with such simple pleasures. With it, I can make breakfast, buy shoes, and relax sore muscles, all within 3 minutes. Technology can also help us get from point A to point B. But can having too much of a good thing be a problem? I went to Nortel Networks to find the answer to this problem. Nortel is like the mecca of technology in Montreal. I met Brian Hazel. He's a supervisor in the company. He has a lot of experience with technology. He's also a self-professed nerd.
I'm involved with something called Lean Six Sigma, which is introducing and reducing variation and waste in processes.
I didn't understand a word he said, but I was curious if you would agree that too much technology can cause problems. According to Bob Lozik's book, Get a Grip, he states that technology can cause impatience.
Now, just writing a letter to someone is too slow. I sent emails maybe an hour ago, and I don't have an answer yet, so I'm sitting here, where's my answer? I'm looking, where's my answer? You know, so you want it instantly. In fact, it's worse than that. Most of the people are plugged into instant messaging as well right now, so even email is too slow.
Impatience isn't the only side effect of technology overdose. According to TrueStarHealth.com, Canadian kids are less active. The average kid spends over 15.5 hours watching TV or playing video games.
My concern is that a lot of people aren't able to entertain themselves anymore. It's constantly entertain me.
I know of this problem firsthand after my little brother had a stint of playing Nintendo for over 24 hours. It was pretty scary. Moses, you alright? Moses! Somebody call 911! I think we just need to be careful about how we use technology before it gets the best of us.
Technology is probably one of the newer forms of addiction to society. It's a drain on our time, it's a drain on our money, and I think ultimately what you have to tell people is it's all right, you know, to enjoy it, but you know, push it aside, take a walk, read a book, call a friend. You know, you have to really just balance it with the rest of everything else.
Isaac Aniojukin, Concordia Reports.
And now for part 2 of Ernest's interview with Kenneth Hemrick.
What would you most want to communicate to someone personally who is considering suicide? What would you tell them if they were on the other end of the phone and you had just a little bit of time to reach them? What would you want to communicate to them?
Well, first of all, that they should, if they're suicidal or depressed, they should go see a doctor. First of all, get a diagnosis and make sure that it's nothing stemming from some other medical condition. That's a very important thing. And to talk with people that they trust. And if you can't find that help right away, keep on trying. Because there's something inside of you. You know what I tell a lot of people who write me, and I said, you know, the fact that you wrote me, the fact that you acted and were honest in telling me, shows me that there's that little part of you inside that wants to live. That's the real you. Mm-hmm. That's the real essence of who you are. Mm-hmm. And I think the also thing is to remember is that even though right at this present time when somebody is feeling that they can't go on and it's impossible, you'd be surprised what we can go through. You know, when all those years ago, I just thought I could never handle anything. Never. I would never be able to do anything. I wouldn't be able to cope with it. I wouldn't be able to live. I wouldn't be able to this. And I'll tell you, I'm grateful that I have lived, because I have done things with family members or whatever who have said, you know, when I was really sick and he came and visited me, he said, you don't know how much that meant to me. Now, if I would have been dead, that wouldn't have been possible. Maybe somebody else would have done it, but my purpose in life, maybe not.
All right, well, thank you very much for talking about this.
Thank you. I hope it helps.
So I'll be reading a lot of cereal boxes on Sunday morning. Hangover hell.
The Concordia Stingers men's basketball team were preparing for their busy weekend ahead. Concordia is ranked number 2 in the country and have only lost 1 game this season. The Stingers have 2 games this weekend, starting tonight against the Laval Rouge et Or and tomorrow against the Bishop's Gators. Concordia leads the Quebec Conference by 4 games over the Rouge et Or. In Laval, Concordia will be meeting an old nemesis. Laval has been dubbed the Evil Empire for their success against Concordia teams, although lately it is Concordia that has had the upper hand. Concordia has won the last 5 meetings against Laval dating back to last season. The doubleheader gets underway tonight with the men's game at 6 o'clock, while the women's team will tip off against Laval at 8.
Oh, I'm so glad we're back inside.
You're the one that wanted to go out.
Thanks for joining us today on Concordia Reports. I'm Melanie Holoboski.
And I'm Jared Buck. See you next time.